Today's episode of the Bill Simmons Podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network is brought to you by SeatGeek, our presenting sponsor. Buy and sell tickets, 2 taps on your phone, everything fully guaranteed. Football fans, $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase on NFL tickets. Use promo code BSNFL. Hopefully we'll get a little NBA code soon. NBA season starting next week. Download the SeatGeek app or go right to SeatGeek.com. We're also brought to you by Let's Play 2. That's a documentary film that chronicles Pearl Jam's legendary performances at Wrigley during the historic 2016 Cubs season. The film captures Pearl Jam's incredible 25-year career, showcases a special relationship between the Cubs and lifelong fan Eddie Vedder. The soundtrack available now. It's in theaters now. Available on DVD and Blu-ray on November 17th. Go to Let's Play 2, TWOfilm.com or PearlJam.com for more details. Pearl Jam's coming up in 1 second. This is a conversation we taped with a producer named Jason Blum of Blumhouse Productions. Me, Sean Fennessy, and Jason, we talked on Friday for almost an hour and a half about horror movies and the business and everything. If you're a movie junkie, you're going to love this. It's really good. This guy has made 80% of the movies that I think my son has seen in the last 5 years. I'm a terrible father, as you're about to find out. But first, Pearl Jam. Taping this on a Friday morning. Jason Blum is here. Sometimes called Jason Bloom, but erroneously.
Often called Jason Bloom, but it's not. And they often say Blumhouse. It is Blumhouse.
Blumhouse.
For
like Bumhouse,
for
but with an L.
Well, kind of like that. I was going to go for Plum, but okay, Bumhouse. Yes, I suppose
the
that
Ringer's
works too.
editor-in-chief, Sean Fennessy, also here.
Hi, guys.
We're going to talk movies.
Right.
You're like my producer's soulmate. Are you 1969?
69, February 20.
Yeah, we're like this. We're almost exactly the same age.
What is it? What are you?
1969.
What month?
September.
September. Very close. Yes.
You have taken the, I guess, call it the horror genre. The horror, it's different these days.
Kind of like
thriller horror,
just scary movie, kind of like thriller horror. Yeah, genre.
Yeah,
I like
this
dark genre is one of my favorite ways to describe it. Dark genre.
You've turned it into a business that is extremely successful and has revolutionized the Hollywood model. I know Sean is impressed. We wrote about it when November. Chris Ryan wrote about it.
Yeah, more than impressed.
Yeah, terrific. That was a terrific piece.
How'd you do it? Explain it to us, man.
Well, how did we do it? So, let's see. I started, I always wanted to be in movies, and I worked for the first kind of 15 years of my career in independent movies. And
we're doing Kicking and Screaming later. I don't want to leave the podcast with it, but
okay, so we'll do we'll get into that.
Don't
but I'm going to give you
not coming.
Okay, fine.
Don't think that's not going to happen for about 15 minutes. But I want to put that near the end.
I can't wait, and
so people can click off at that point.
Good.
Yeah.
So anyway, I spent 15 years doing independent movies. I worked at a little company called Arrow. I worked for Miramax. I produced a bunch of independent movies on my own. I produced about 10 independent movies on my own after I quit being an executive when I was 30. I moved out to LA in 2000 and was a little producer. And movies were really bad and no one saw them, which those two things generally go together.
So how are you like paying
always. Rent? That's a great question. So I had 1 year. I had my office in my house. I lived in the El Royale.
Yeah.
I had my office.
The El Royale. Wow.
Yeah. And I had a little two bedroom apartment there, and I had my office in the second bedroom. And there was 1 year I was kind of on a corporate ladder. I was making like 50 and then 80, and then I was making $120,000 a year, which when you're 29 in 1998, that was good money. And it's good money now. And then I quit that job and started working on my own. And the lowest I made when I was 31 or 32 was $37,000 a year, $37,000 for the year, which was shocking because it was so much less than I had made before, and I had to cover my own stuff. But I had my assistant who would come over to for a while I didn't have an assistant. Then I paid this guy named Oliver Kramer. I paid him $100 a day, and he'd come over to my apartment, and we used to make jokes. We should call the company Underwear Productions, because I'd get up I'd roll out of bed, I'd sit at my desk. It's a gross image, and I'd be me and Oliver. Oliver was dressed. I was in my underpants working like in a tiny, tiny room with the two desks together. I used to drive my own scripts around. And anyway, I made a bunch of independent movies.
Were they your scripts or just scripts that other people had that you liked that you felt like you could turn into something? Or both?
I was giving a class a couple of weeks ago. I was talking to a bunch of kids at USC about this. They were scripts. They were just scripts. I was very mercenary. They were scripts that I thought I could get made.
Right.
So it wasn't like scripts that I necessarily like loved. I was talking about, just read this book called Ego is the Enemy. Have you read this book?
No.
Have you heard about this book? It's an interesting book. And one of the big theses of the author of the book is that we talk about passion too much, and that passion is not necessarily you always say, how are people successful? By being passionate. And that passion is not necessarily the answer to success. And there's part of that I agree with. It wasn't scripts that I was passionate about. It was scripts that I was like, okay, I got this actress in it or this person in it, or scripts that I thought I could get made.
So what's the best example of that? Like from that
Okay,
era?
well, we made 10 of them. So 9 of them you probably never heard of. And the only good one, I could say it that way, was we made a movie called Hysterical Blindness. Remember that? Uma Thurman won the Golden Globe. That was the only one that was any good. But the example is that Hysterical Blindness was a play, and I was very good friends with Ethan and Uma, and she saw this play, and it was about a not attractive girl who couldn't get a date, and of course, the most attractive woman in the world wanted to play that part. And of course, her representatives and all the business people in her life said, "You're crazy." So I was lucky enough as the kind of young buck friend to get the opportunity. She said, no, I think she didn't say it quite like this, but basically it's like, no one's really listening to me. Could you help me get this made? And she gave me this play, which I didn't really have any connection to, but I had Uma Thurman. And I just, not that I didn't lie, I liked it, but I could have certainly lived without making it. It was really her passion project. And I took that package, and typical stuff, everyone said no except HBO, and we got it made. But that was in that one, that was a successful result. Made a movie called
whose side did you take in the divorce? Uma or Ethan? You have to pick. Anytime friends get divorced, you got to pick.
Of course.
Now you don't have to tell us.
No, I'll tell you. Absolutely.
No,
yeah. It's kind of an interesting story. I was very proud of the fact that I lasted the longest of anyone. I think this is true. Straddling both while they got divorced, but ultimately,
can't work. Gotta pick.
It ultimately, it got picked, and I wound up with my friend in the beginning was Ethan, and I'm still close with Ethan, and
that's the right move. You got to go with whoever
I stuck
was
with
first.
the one that was first.
Yeah, you got to go first.
Yeah.
But wait, I'm curious why you decided to leave your $120,000 a year job as an executive to take a shot to do this by yourself and make no money.
That's a great question. My dad had his own business, and I always, when I think about, I've made a million mistakes, but one of the bigger mistakes that I made was that decision, and I left too early. I was working for Miramax. It was the height. Miramax was owned by Disney. I was the king of the world in New York. I was working in New York, king of independent cinema, because I was at the best company at doing it at that time. But I really always had a voice in me that I wanted to be my own boss, desperately.
Sounds like me.
I was going to say, I think someone can relate.
Yeah, desperately. Very similar, very, very similar, and very similar. Yes.
So you're doing this.
So that's why
you're doing this right after this unbelievable run of movies, 96 to 2000 that we always talk about. Just like, it's just a phenomenal 5-year stretch.
Amazing.
Like 99 is
what was
the best? What did we say the best one? What year was?
We said
I had like 99 the
99,
most.
Yeah, that's the Matrix. And
it's just like the glory days of just.
It was, and that was exactly my employment contract. I was from 95 to 2000. I was at Miramax, and I was in the center. The Matrix was different because it was studio, obviously, but I was in the center of the independent film business as a child. I was in my late 20s. I was in a job way, way over my head.
Back when people actually went to go see them instead of just waiting for them to come on
to be on Netflix.
Yeah.
It was an amazing,
like I saw Kicking and Screaming in the theater.
That
would never happen today. Ever.
Never happen.
It would be
today.
on Netflix and be like, "What is this?
Yeah,
this looks
never
cute.
happen. Never.
Hey, Parker Posey."
Yeah.
And then you're clicking on it.
That would never happen today.
I really miss that era. I just feel like movies mattered more as an experience that was like social for everybody.
It'll come back. It'll come back. I think they don't. It's less true now because of windowing. But I think windowing has made the 90 to 120 minute format less relevant, just like you're saying. But I think when movies can play at the same time at home and in the theater, I think movies will be more, that format will be more relevant again. Now it's really moved to series. Series are what people do.
But Get Out's a good example of the old school model working.
It is. We've had a few throwbacks to 90s successes, but
how did you?
But they're few and far between.
How did you figure that out? How to get people in the theater up to this very day?
Well, how our kind of business model works is basically we do low budget movies, and the reason that we do low budget movies is everyone says they're profitable, and they often are profitable, but that's not the reason we do low budget movies, so we can do new, different things. So when we make it, every studio, when they make a decision to greenlight a movie, they have to use a system of comps. And by the way, if I ran a studio, I would do the exact same thing. If you're going to spend $100 million on a movie, you better have 3 movies that are like it in the last 5 years that made $100 million. Otherwise, you shouldn't spend the money. But the great thing about doing low budget movies is you can greenlight movies in the exact opposite process. We have our people, when people say, what do you say yes to? We got to like it. That's easy. Everyone says that. I love the script. What does that mean? It's taste. But second, and much more importantly, and much more unique than that, is it's got to remind us of nothing. When we all read Get Out, the Monday of the thing, everyone liked it. We didn't think it was the greatest script ever. Everyone liked it, but everyone across said, I've never read anything like this. And the reason I'm so psychotic about low budget is because we then get to say yes to Get Out. If the script of Get Out came to me and I was running a studio and it was a $20 million movie, never would have made it. That's true of almost every single film we've ever produced. I never would have made The Purge. I never would have made The Visit. I never would have made every original movie that we do just doesn't make sense on paper. And so the kind of long answer to your question is, I think one of the reasons we've had a lot of success with our movies is that the audience, and they wouldn't articulate this, but the movies do feel different and new.
We should point out that you've made basically every successful horror movie over the last 6 years.
I appreciate that. I wouldn't say
it's
every
this
one.
Whole genre.
We missed a few, but we've made a lot.
It's like you're batting like 80%. Don't think my 9.5-year-old son hasn't watched all of them. I'm such a horrible parent. Really, I'm like the worst parent on the planet, but my kids love horror movies and they've loved them from the get-go. My favorite movie probably ever, second favorite movie other than 48 Hours is Halloween, which I can't even tell you how many times I've seen, but like when my son was 4, we took him to the Halloween house on Orange Grove off of Sunset, and he put the mask on and he walked across the street. Like, yeah,
I was there 2 weeks ago. Did you see the photo shoot we just did from there? I was there 2 weeks ago.
Thanks for the invite.
No, it wasn't. There was no one invited. We did a photo shoot with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah,
and that was the new art.
She did get decapitated in Halloween, the Resurrection.
Yes.
So we're gonna pretend that didn't happen.
Hopefully you won't be disappointed on the new Halloween movie.
Halloween H2O was good.
Very.
That was 20 years ago.
Very.
Halloween H2O took the tactic of 3 through 7 never happened.
Didn't exist.
Yeah. We're just starting fresh from.
I'll put it that way. I think that was a good tactic.
I think you just pretend 1, 2, H2O, and this is like the spiritual fourth one.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the move.
Does that stuff matter to you? You know, you've now created a couple of franchises. Does like the logic of these movies matter, or is it just make the best movie you can make?
No. It matters incredibly. It doesn't mean we always abide by it, but we talk about it endlessly. The one of the things I love is about half the movies we make are sequels and half the movies we make are originals. And you have to use it's almost like the difference between television and movies. You have to use a totally different side of your brain with the sequels. Everything that I said about our business only applies to originals. It doesn't apply to sequels. So sequels are more expensive. They're not original. We're guaranteed a wide release. The big big component to our movies, to our model, is that on the movie side, we never guarantee a wide release until the movie's finished. And I don't ever want a wide release. I don't want to decide how the movies get released until the movie's finished. If you decide going in that you're going to go on 3,000 screens and $30 million, all the great pressure that's alleviated by having a low budget goes out the window. You want the directors to feel, the artists that are making these movies, to feel free and loose, to take chances and not worry about what the TV spot is going to be, what the trailer is going to be. Just be free and make a great movie. And then we figure out how the movie is going to be released. Sequels is the opposite.
Have you been to the original Myers house in Pasadena? That's now a real estate place.
No, I know about it.
I don't feel like you're qualified enough for this.
I may not.
I think I should have made this movie.
Oh, I absolutely. Now listen.
Do you know where they got the original Myers mask?
Tell me where.
It was a Captain Kirk mask in like a convenience store or something that they used, and then they lost, and they could never. That's why the original Halloween mask was always better than all the next masks. Because it was like this doctored Captain Kirk mask.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
That's kind of thing I bring to the table.
We should switch places. Obviously,
you can bring me in for like one meeting.
Okay.
Just to make sure there's some continuity. I mean, Michael Myers did burn in a fire at the end of Halloween too.
Right.
And he did, I think, get decapitated at the end of H2O.
Yes,
but we can work. You can work all
now,
this stuff
what about David Gordon Green? Have you had him on? Do you know him?
No,
he directed Stronger, the Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
Stronger, but he's done George Washington. He's done great. You would love him. He's amazing. Yes, and you would.
Is he the one who's doing Halloween?
Yes, he's directing it. Him and Danny McBride wrote it.
How involved is John Carpenter?
He's involved. It's a kind of a good story. You want to hear the story?
Yes,
John
please.
Carpenter?
I would love to hear the story.
So they came to me
because he's the gatekeeper for all this.
He's not the gatekeeper.
Who's the gatekeeper?
Two companies, Miramax, who bought the rights, the distribution rights,
right? When they made H2O,
and no, they've made a lot of Halloweens. Miramax, Dimension, but the real gatekeeper is a guy named Malik Akkad, whose company is called Trancas, and his dad. And what we always say, which is true, is we're all guests in Malik's house. There's a guy named Bill Block who runs Miramax, and he once said that, and that's the perfect description of how the Halloween process works. And really, Malik and his family obviously are really the gatekeeper. They're the gatekeepers of Halloween.
Okay.
And the way that we got involved is we approached, or I don't know if we approached them or whatever, but anyway, we all got together. I'm sure we probably approached them. We approached Malik and we approached Miramax. We said we'd love to be an additional guest at your house and see if we could help you get this going. And we talked about it a long time, and we finally, started to agree of what it would look like and how we would do that. And one of the things I said is the only thing about us being involved is I don't want to do it unless John Carpenter is involved in some way.
That's the right instinct. He
had no contractual anything. In other words, we could be making this Halloween without him. And I said, I really think we should do him. And Malik and Miramax were both very amenable to that. And they said, you know what? We tried, we approached him, and it didn't work out. And I said, well,
he's probably still mad about the Rob Zombie 2 remakes in 2007. I don't acknowledge those, just in case you're wondering.
Good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay,
that was his interpretation of Halloween.
Good.
I'm out on those.
Okay.
Too violent.
Both of them?
Yeah, too violent. It's like, what was going on there?
Yeah.
That was that weird Saw era of horror movies when it just got super dark and grisly.
Yeah.
I don't like those.
Yeah.
I like to be scared. I don't want to be like grossed out.
I don't love those either. Yeah. There are some movies that are just so bloody. It's like almost like a joke. Like I don't mind that. But
I always called them like torture porn.
Yeah, well, that's not good. I don't like that. Okay, so anyway, back to my John Carpenter story. So I said, can I try talking to him? And they said sure. And I got in touch with John through his agent or whatever. I didn't know. I never met him. I actually had met him briefly, but we didn't know each other. And I had a meeting with him, and I met him. He has a little Hollywood house here where his office is, and I met him. I remember the meeting was at 3:00, and that becomes important in a second. And I started, saying, "Listen, I want to have Halloween," and he's, this is crap. You don't need me, and and I said, well, I told him the story I just told you. I said I really didn't want to go forward. Well, what am I gonna? I'm gonna have nothing. I'm gonna have no approvals. I'm gonna have nothing, and I'm gonna have nothing to do with it. This is bullshit. And I said, it isn't. I said, we don't know each other. I said, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for you. I have almost every filmmaker we've worked with multiple times. Our company's built on artists, and you're the original person here. And I really, and he grouched at me again. And I looked up at him and I said, John, I said, they're going to make a Halloween movie with or without you. And by the way, with or without me. I said, I don't really want to do it without you. So both of us can pull up shop and go home. But it's still going to happen. And he kind of looked at me. And then I said, no, you're not going to have approvals, but I'm looking you in the eye. And I'm going to tell you that we're not going to make any big moves that you hate. You're a wild man. I said, if we do something you hate, you don't need to have contractual approval. You could go out and tweet, these guys are idiots and our show is down. And he said, all right. And at 3:16, I walked out. The meeting was 60 minutes long, and I called his agent, and the agent said, wow, short man. I said, yeah. I said, I have no idea. I have no idea what happened. And at 3:30, John Carpenter agreed to executive produce Halloween, which I was so psyched about. And that's the long answer to your question. But the short answer is every time we do something, when we choose the director, every time a script comes in, any big creative things, John is super involved. So so Danny McBride and David went over, pitched him the idea, which he liked. We've sent him multiple versions of the script, which he gives notes on, and he's creatively actually very involved in the movie, which I'm very proud of. So even though I may be the wrong, even though I may not,
you're not wrong.
not have enough.
You're not wrong.
No,
I
may
just
not
said
have
you weren't the
enough
perfect
to
one
carry your torch.
Yeah.
You can trust that John Carpenter does.
Bill, do you think you would be better than John Carpenter at this?
No,
to
John Carpenter's the guru.
Okay.
Yeah,
he did
right,
the music.
So we have that.
He created the whole thing. They
And-
were just like, kill some babysitters. It's like, cool, here's my script.
And it's great. And Jamie Lee Curtis is great to have back. And Jamie Lee Curtis she's also executive producing. And
This opens the door, now that you're with Carpenter, for the Escape from New York remake that I've been waiting for.
Well,
for
I have
35 years.
Yeah, well, I have a few other John Carpenter things spinning around in my head, but I want to get this one off the ground.
One of like the 12 best ideas for a movie of all time. New York City has turned into a maximum security prison. The prisoners go in, they can't get out. The president's plane crashes inside New York City. Somebody has to go get him. Which is great. What's a better idea than that? How is that not a TV show?
I don't know.
That's a Netflix series.
I feel like
I'm watching 13 episodes of that.
So many of your movies, though, do the same thing where there's two sentences and you're like, what the hell? How is that a movie? The Purge is that kind of a thing. The elevator pitch is incredible.
I was so in love with the idea of The Purge. When I heard about it, I was like, "Oh, that's perfect."
How does that come together?
You know where that idea came from?
Yeah.
James DeMonaco, who wrote and directed all three movies, lives on Staten Island, is a spectacular, incredibly talented guy and a good friend of mine. He and his wife are driving on some they don't call them freeways in New York, some throughway in New York. Someone cut him off, and he's like, "Fuck, I want to kill that guy." Or maybe it was his wife was driving. Anyway, one of them said that, and the other one said, "What if you could?" And that was the birth of The Purge. But they're James is very The Purge really in a funny way was kind of the first. Get Out was the real social thriller, but The Purge kind of laid there. The Purge is really a movie about gun control gone haywire in the United States. The Purge in France, the French translation of the title is America's Nightmare. That's what the movie's called. That's what America's Nightmare 1, 2, and 3. And in Europe and in other countries where they have a different relationship to guns, they really understand The Purge 100% as a cautionary tale. In this country, about half the audience gets it as a cautionary tale, and the other half the audience thinks The Purge may not be a bad idea, which is a little disturbing.
When I was at Grantland, Kevin Wildes used to do half-baked ideas.
Right.
And I threw this half-baked idea at him once called Leap Year. Because, like every 4 years, there's this extra day.
Yes, of course.
So my theory was on that extra day, all laws should go out the window. And we did this whole thing, and it was really fun. And
is it possible that I read that or saw that?
No,
or heard? No,
I don't think so.
It's impossible.
3 years later,
we're going to make that movie.
3 years later, no, when The Purge thing came out, I was getting emails like, this is the leap year idea on acid. Because and I was like, the purge is a better idea than leap year. Leap year is something though. I always felt like leap year is like,
you guys are in a
there was
together,
wasn't there a comedy done about the year that there was no inheritance tax? Do you remember that?
I think
when George Bush was president, or there was some year where there was no inheritance tax for 12 months, and it was all about like pushing grandma and grandpa off a cliff.
Yes,
there was a movie about that. It's kind of the similar.
Barely remember that.
There's another great Manhattan, the Escape from New York idea. There's an amazing idea. You know, Andrew Niccol, who did Gattaca, and he has these great big ideas. We have nothing to do with this, but it's been around for a long time. It's called City That Sails, and it's about a young child and his parents get divorced, and one of them moves to the UK, and one of them's in New York, and he's living with the one in New York, and the love and the amount of that he misses the parent who lives in the UK eventually cracks Manhattan off from its foundation, and Manhattan sails slowly across Europe to join the child with his parent. Isn't
incredible?
That cool?
That's a great idea.
Will Smith had played with it for a long time. Isn't that a great idea? It's about 100. The budget of that movie would be more than all of our movies combined.
But you must hear 1,000 high concept ideas a day. Like, how do you pick which ones make sense for a movie?
We don't. You don't hear. It's high concept ideas. It's easy to say and easy to, but they're few and far between. The idea, The Purge or Get Out, or they're hard. Otherwise, you'd see more movies that are clean high concepts, and they're not that many movies that are clean high concepts. They're hard to find that aren't goofy. You know what I mean?
The Purge is one sentence. I'm in.
One sentence. Crime is legal for 12 hours a year,
right?
Yeah.
If you can explain a movie in one sentence, isn't that what you want?
It's a home run. Yeah, it's a home run. It's a home run. But they're hard to come by.
True or false? My son dressed up as a Purge character for Halloween 2 years ago.
I hope that's true.
It's 100% true.
I love it.
So here's what happened.
I love it.
He's
How
in
old
the.
is he?
Well, he's 9.5. I
Oh,
mean, he's
boy.
going to be in jail soon, so I don't mind talking about him.
So this is when he was 7.5. Yes.
Yeah. So he goes to school with Frank Grillo's son as one of his best friends.
God, Frank.
And Frank Grillo started
Frank
making
Grillo.
Grillo. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I knew that too because
That's all right.
his son's name is Rio Grillo.
Oh.
And you
yes.
always want to
Rio
call him
Grillo
Rio,
would be
but
tough.
it's
Right.
Rio
Yeah,
Grillo.
right.
But either he was making Purge 2 or he had just finished Purge 2 or something. And my son found out about it. He's like, Dad, I got to see The Purge.
Oh my God.
Rio's dad is in Purge 2. We
What
got
have
to
I
get
done?
it.
Oh God.
So we watched it and he thought it was like just
the
magnificent.
greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then we got,
I'm sorry about that.
he had his, it was on somewhere. It was on like Netflix or one of those places. And we had to like pull his account because we found him watching it without telling us. And, but he actually really did ask me once, Dad, do you think The Purge could actually happen? And my wife was like, listen, this has to stop. This has to stop now. We can't let him watch these movies, but he still watches them.
The other, besides the incident on the thruway, the other, kind of big thought, that big kind of idea in The Purge was, I mean, and obviously this is, super sensitive now, but it was very upsetting to me and disturbing to James that oftentimes when there's shootings, there's a big contingent that thinks the answer is more guns. When there's a school shooting, the idea that you put a guard in a school with a gun is the answer to a school shooting is really upsetting. And I think that one of the reasons the Purge thought was like, if your answer to a school shooting is putting a guard in a school with a gun, then how far does this go? That's the cautionary tale part of it.
Yeah. Does The Purge, it became a TV show now?
So we're shooting the fourth Purge movie right now. We're filming it now. It comes out in July, and we're doing something that I don't think has been done before, which is we're doing a TV series at the same time. Yeah, and we've written.
I'll watch it.
All the episodes, and then we're
as part of an interconnected thing.
You don't need to see one or the other, but there are little Easter eggs in both. So there's a little crossover between both.
I'm waiting for the Purge NFL, where it's just the end. It's one day where the NFL.
We've been watching it for years.
Crimes are legal. Oh wait, that's every day.
Yeah, that's already happened.
Oh, that's every day.
Yeah. Did you read today? They said high school football is going way attendance is going way down. There was a big article today about it. I'm sure you guys know all about that. Yeah.
The football horror movie hasn't happened.
That is the football. Well, it's happening in real life, but I guess so is The Purge. So we should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you rejuvenated this horror franchise, in my opinion. Sean, you agree with that? There's been a lot of rejuvenation.
I think reinvented the whole genre in a lot of ways. For sure.
I mean, this is a great room. I'm going to spend the whole day in this room. Fantastic.
The part of what's cool about these choices you're making with movies is that even if they don't go gangbusters in the theater, they feel like they have this huge tail on the Netflix and Hulu, Amazon world. And you go to Netflix and it's like, hey, here's Hush. And Hush was just, they pushed that for 2 months.
Yeah.
Hush was great. I loved Hush. And then you watch Hush and then you go back to Netflix 2 days later and it's like, you liked Hush. Here are 5 other movies like it. And then
they're all
like,
Blumhouse.
And it's just, it never ends. But you couldn't have known that was going to happen with the Netflix recommendation thing.
No,
or did you?
That's
or you
just like there's so much packed into what you just said. My head is going to explode.
Okay, good.
Okay, my head is going to
explode. How do you figure out what's a movie that goes in theaters and what's a movie that goes straight to streaming?
Well, Hush is a great example of a movie that really should have gone in theaters, and the Hush should have been a wide release, and it wasn't a wide release because the market is so fickle. And at the time we sold Hush, there were 3 horror movies in a kind of 3-month period that didn't do well. And as a result,
what were the 3? Do you remember?
I don't. I wish I could.
One of them was probably The Gallows, which I thought was really good.
We did that too.
Yeah, I like The Gallows.
I think
there was a glut. I think that's what happened. I think there were too many.
I think it was the summer of The Gallows.
Yeah.
So we had The Gallows.
All of a sudden, there was like 10 of them.
So anyway, there was, and so it was just this moment, you know, and it was super frustrating to me. And, you know, we sold it to Netflix and everyone did all right on it. Netflix by far did the best on it.
Oh my God. I would say that was like Netflix, a Hall of Famer for Netflix.
It was a Hall of Famer for Netflix. And then Netflix signed up Mike Flanagan to work for the rest of his life. Right. Would have been nice if they gave us a call. They didn't, but you know what? We have other great business with them.
He made 3-4 movies with you, right, Mike?
Yeah, we made 4 movies with him, and then Hush did so well. You know, and that's a you know, north and south, and I'm not saying this because I hate when you hear an interview like, oh, well, I have a great relationship with them. We do. We sell Netflix a ton of material, and we do have a very good relationship with them. That was, to me, not a great part of the relationship, and that's a real. There's a whole nother show you could do on the difference between, you know, the Northern and Southern California's approach to content, and that's kind of, the studio would never do that. Like a studio, if you sold a studio a movie, if we sell a studio a movie and the studio is going to get in business with the filmmaker, the studio talks to the production company, and you kind of, you know, it's just a known thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, you know, one of the culture differences, and I think that's getting sorted out. But I was very frustrated by that. It was a very frustrating thing. Like we did so great on your movie. Thanks. See you later.
They spotted your talent.
And look, Netflix, you know, what you said before, we can lament the idea that you wouldn't see Kicking and Screaming in a theater, but also if it weren't for Amazon and Netflix, Kicking and Screaming wouldn't exist today, and those movies still do exist. So there is a lot to be said for the fact that independent film would pretty much be dead if it weren't. I'd rather that at least you get to see independent film at home on TV than not see it at all. And there would be no independent film if it weren't for streaming services. There just wouldn't.
We'll be back with Jason and Sean in 1 second. First, a break to talk about the NBA, my favorite sport. After a blockbuster offseason, the NBA is back. The 2017-18 season tips off on TNT on Tuesday night, October 17th. Oh my God, it's here. An electrifying doubleheader that features friends, foes, familiar faces. First up, Kyrie and Gordon Hayward leading my beloved Boston Celtics to Cleveland, boo, to battle LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and the Cavs. That's 7 p.m. Eastern. Right after that, we go to the West. James Harden, Chris Paul, new Houston Rockets teammates going to the Bay, taking on the defending champion Warriors. 10:30 Eastern. I would say I like the Celtics and I like Golden State on a parlay. Celtics at Cavs, Rockets at Warriors. Coverage begins 7 p.m. Eastern. TNT. Listen, you don't have to just go to TNT. You can also go to the TNT app, which I highly recommend. Basketball is here. Oh, and by the way, let's talk about Miller Lite. Brewed not just to only taste great, but also be less filling. It has only 96 calories, so it won't fill you up. It's brewed to be enjoyed from tip-off to final buzzer, and they have been an awesome partner for TheRinger.com. It is the original light beer and has been since they first showed up courtside in 1975. I may have a couple Miller Lite posters from the early 80s because they used to have this awesome ad campaign with some of my favorite athletes. Miller Lite. Not only tastes great, it's also less filling. All right, back to Jason Blum. Here's what you've proven to me this decade. Any home invasion, if it's done correctly, is going to work. Home invasion or, hey, I'm going to go write my book in my cabin that's in a really remote place.
I'm going to so refute what you just said.
Home invasion movies, they work.
You sound like
everyone's afraid to have their home invaded.
You sound like a Hollywood executive.
No, home invasions work.
No, that's not. No, they don't work.
Yes.
I should show you 900 home invasion movies that haven't worked.
I said if they're done well. They're done well. You know what really works well?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to my cabin and work on this. There's really bad cell phone service here.
It's cell phone. That's why there's so many period horror movies, by the way, because you can get rid of the cell phones. That's why every horror movie is period, because the cell phones are so difficult.
Here's the other one that always works.
Yeah.
I just bought a house. Something's weird in this place. I can't figure it out.
I can't. Is he making fun of my entire business?
I'm not making fun of it.
No.
I like these movies.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Have you been up in the attic? Found this chest.
Oh my God.
This chest.
Terrible.
Don't open it. No,
That's
let's
terrible.
open it. But let's have some wine first and turn off all the lights and put on some candles.
And make sure it's midnight.
But like one of my favorite movies ever is Amityville Horror, the original with James Brolin.
Yeah, that's
which
a great
is
movie.
The most terrified I've ever been in a movie theater. And like I used to wake up at 3:15 in the morning and be freaked out and the whole thing. And it's like
We did an Amityville Horror.
I remember. I don't think I haven't seen it. Like
No, you haven't seen
the Ryan Reynolds one.
No.
Oh.
We didn't do that. We did another one.
We did like one of the sequels.
It's not out yet. It's coming out on VOD. It's coming out on Google Play, I think.
Is it a remake of the old ones?
No, it's not.
It's a
remake. It's a
reimagination?
reimagination. Reimagination.
Amityville, the OG, Long Island. You've been to that house.
I grew up 5 minutes from that house.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Now, do you know that house?
Lutzes?
Do you know that was for sale and it was super cheap? I wanted to buy it.
I didn't. For what reason?
Because it's this great. It's an amazing house.
Tourist
And it was
attraction?
super cheap because people thought it was haunted. I mean, how crazy
I
is
just
that?
want to say that I knew that was for sale and I knew what the price was and I looked at all the rooms and it was like way cheaper than I thought it was going to be. It's on the water.
You went in to look at the house?
Yeah, that and the Boogie Nights house.
Yes,
I circled. I never would have bought them, but I just wanted to live in a world
only
where I
saw
could have.
pictures. Wasn't it great?
The Amityville Horror House was amazing. Did you see the
should have
Boogie
bought
Nights
it.
house?
No. How was that?
It's in West Covina. We thought about moving our entire Ringer all of our video to the Boogie Nights
When you
house.
say we thought about it,
Well, I thought about it.
you thought about it, and we said there's no
it
way
was
that
like
will
less than
happen.
$1 million. So it was exactly the same. It was Jack Horner's house with all the thing. We could have shot all our video there.
I mean,
we weren't going to do it, but we had the conversation.
fantastic.
We were never going to move to the Amityville Horror House. That was never on the
No,
table.
that was never happening. No, I got to say, I would be terrified to actually buy that house.
Now, we made a movie about
I do
this.
believe, like, he did shoot all the people in that house. That
yeah,
happened.
he did. I wouldn't be. We made a movie about this. Did you see Sinister?
Yeah,
Who are
great
you
movie.
talking to?
Okay, my bad. I'm sorry.
I've seen every movie you made on this IMDb. I love watching horror movies.
I'm sorry. So remember Sinister? That's the plot of Sinister. He moves his family into a haunted
With your friend
house.
Ethan.
With my friend Ethan, yeah, which was that's not a high concept, but that was a great. I really love, and I love. I really think Scott Derrickson is.
I was going to say another filmmaker that you
He was a
springboarded.
great partner.
That's an
he is a
excellent
great
movie.
partner. We're
Yeah.
working on different things with him, but he was. That's a great movie.
Here's another one. Hey, I found this Ouija board in the attic. Don't use it.
Oh God.
No, let's get drunk and use it one night. What could go wrong?
That's actually
that's
a good.
it. That's a plot.
That's Ouija 3.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to discuss because on paper, the Ouija movie shouldn't work and had been in the universe.
Oh, I disagree.
Forever.
I'm
like that had
scared
been
of
in
Ouija
Hollywood
boards.
for a long time and
It's
had been developed.
$100 million movie.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah.
In
It was
like
Hollywood.
Platinum Dunes
We made
movie,
it for
right?
100 cents.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how does that happen? How do you make a board game a good movie?
Great, entirely great filmmaker. We only made one, by the way. We made two. The first movie, I thought we did not hit
Right.
the mark.
2 is the
The
better.
second movie
Yes.
was Mike Flanagan. But how do you make a board game a great movie? You go to someone who's fantastic, and Mike Flanagan, he helped us a lot on the first movie, and then he made the second movie terrific, and that he's the reason that the movie is great. I mean, he's a massively talented fellow. You know, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And then you have to let them be free. You have to let them be free, and that's easy for me to say because our movies are low budget. You know, if we were making $50 million Ouija movie, you can't let a film. You can't just let someone do whatever they want unless it's, you know, one of 5 people. And so that's
you let
how
one
we do
slip
it.
by though.
Which one?
I don't think you did the Bye Bye Man.
Yeah, but are we regretful of that?
So I say yes.
Talk to me.
Because
tell
I
me
think
why.
your team could have. It was the pieces were there.
Well, we passed on it.
The pieces were there, and it needed something. I still saw it in the theater with my son,
Did
just
you?
for the record. Yeah,
Yeah, we passed on it, and I liked it better than the people that worked for me. So I totally blame them and throwing them.
But it wasn't good. I feel like it should have. It was one of those.
It
should have been good.
It could have been.
It had
could have been
elements, and like Faye Dunaway shows up at one
I
point.
know that. I know why that
Faye
happened. I'm
Dunaway's
not
in
gonna
this
say
movie?
why, but yeah. That was
One of the smart ones you did that I would love to see more of is Unfriended, which
You'll see more. Of
is
that.
like the online horror experience.
That was great.
Is untapped.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, there have been some knockoffs which haven't worked in that
No.
arena, but
One was just released recently, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What was that one?
It was
It's
called
like Friend Request or something. like
Nice.
that.
It was
Yeah,
called
yeah.
Friend Request. Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't work.
Is it on Netflix yet?
It will be in about
Is there
3
a
weeks.
Ouija board?
Uh,
It
I
will
will-
be in 3 weeks.
You can let your son know.
Anybody
Yeah.
go in the attic?
That'll be the day he joins Facebook.
What do you think? Do you think the babysitter era will ever come back?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because like that prom night, which I'm out of horror movies to watch with my kids, so we tried to watch Prom Night
Jesus,
from
I got to get cracking.
1980, which is
Right.
just really awful.
Wow.
Really, really, really bad.
Right,
And then they remade it like 10 years ago, and the remake's not terrible.
right.
But that whole era of they tried to do like Halloween, and they tried to do all the different holidays. There wasn't really the one you did, Happy Death Day, that's coming out when.
Yeah, that comes out Friday the 13th.
So you basically created your own holiday.
Happy Death Day comes out Friday the 13th. Yeah, I'm very, very, very pleased about
What's
that
the?
movie.
Give me the one sentence concept.
The one sentence concept is the horror version of Groundhog Day.
I'm in.
Right. There we go. There we go. There we go.
How many murders can you squeeze into one
Now,
movie?
I will tell you something. I will admit something. It's cheating to use another movie in your high concept idea. It is cheating a little bit,
Okay.
but I'll still cheat on this one. Technically, your high concept idea should not reference another film.
But you
right?
can cross genre though.
We are crossing genre.
Yeah,
yeah. We are.
Day's fine. It's a comedy.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying a pure high concept. You're not. You
Right.
shouldn't really be referencing another movie, but it still works.
Credit to you guys. The movie is very self-aware about that. It
Yeah,
knows.
you saw
it
it,
knows
right?
what it's doing.
Oh,
yes.
You saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me? Where was it?
We were asked specifically for you to say. I said absolutely. He could see anything we've ever done, even if we haven't shot it yet.
The thing is, you're
What do you
going to
mean I
love
got a
it no
link?
matter what, given this conversation.
I
So
missed the link.
We'll get you
I
another
was in
one.
New York City last
Okay,
week.
yeah, we'll get you
There's
another
a
one.
link?
There's a
so I can
betting-
watch Happy Death Day tonight?
tonight.
This is the greatest day of my life.
Yeah. Wait, you have a 9-year-old and how's the old?
Oh, I know what we're doing tonight.
No, how many?
12 and a half-year-old daughter who
So 12 and a half and 9.
Yeah.
Perfect. The daughter. It's made for the daughter. It's PG-13.
we're out of movies.
Well,
Here's how bad I got.
I'm here to deliver. I'm
We
here to
watched The
save.
Forest on Tuesday night.
Stop watching The Forest.
Forest is not good.
Get on to
It's like,
Happy
oh,
Death
The
Day.
Forest. Stop
Stop.
it. Don't fall asleep in The Forest.
Stop with The Forest already.
Not a great one.
Yeah.
I
So
would like to see the Friday the 13th genre. I feel like that's the untapped.
So
I don't know
now,
who owns the rights for that.
I do. So
There
I
you go.
tried to get it because I really want to do that movie. This
It's
is
time.
Hold on. We got to go back to Happy Death Day in a second because there's one thing I want to say about it. But let me just talk about Friday the 13th.
Please.
Okay.
Iconic.
I call up
Iconic.
iconic.
Who? You
I'm not-
remember
I'm
the
not-
commercial?
I'm not
You were,
gonna-
you
I'm
were
not-
11 like me? That commercial would come out when you were like 10 years old, and it was like 1 murder, 2 murder. And it was like, I'd be like, ah.
All
I'd be
right.
like terrified. Yeah.
Can I tell my story?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I'm going to leave out the names because it's a little controversial what I'm about to say, but you know what? I'm just going to go for it.
Okay.
I call up the studio that controls the rights to Friday the 13th. This is about 2 years ago. They've been developing it for a long time, and they have this interesting thing where which happens a lot in these movies that have been around a while, if they don't make a movie by a certain time, the movie reverts to a total different rights holder. In this case, it was another studio. I called them up 2 years ago. I said, guys, you've been futzing with this thing for a long time. I said, I can make this movie. They had it at 15, at $20 million. I said, I can make the movie for $5 million. I have an awesome idea for the movie. I have an amazing filmmaker. Let me make it. I'll co-finance it. I'll put up half, whatever. Like, let me make this with you. And they said, that is a great idea. We can't wait. We're in. And I never heard from them again. And I really never heard from them again. And they developed this movie. They just were nice to me, and then they ignored me. And then they developed this Friday the 13th, and the budget went from 15 to 18, da 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 da. And I even told the filmmaker, who I think is a good filmmaker. I told the filmmaker who was attached at the time. I said, I really don't think this movie's going to happen. We were talking about something else. Anyway, that movie shut down, and that studio, the rights reverted. The studio lost the rights. The rights went to another studio.
Shuts down because they couldn't just get it together?
They couldn't get it together. And so it irks me, that one. But I would love to do it. I would love to do it.
Are you going to swoop in?
For the no, because the studio where the studio where it is, I don't think I would try. The studio where it is now has it's not like anyone would know if they looked all this stuff up, but a studio, I feel like I'm just talking in code, not in code, but the studio where it is has a much, much healthier track record in the genre. So they're unlikely to take my phone call about that particular subject.
I'm ready.
Well, they're gonna make it. They'll do a good job.
I'm gonna give you
a good job.
I'm gonna give you a movie to buy the rights for, just because you've been a great guest.
I'm ready. God, I can't wait.
Silent Ridge, Chuck Norris, 1980.
I know the movie. I know the movie.
Starts out.
Yes, remind me.
Mentally ill guy.
Right.
Starts out. He's just chopping wood in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Loses his mind for some reason. Something snaps. His house, it's too chaotic. His family snaps, goes in, just starts killing his family with an axe. Sheriff Chuck Norris comes in. They end up having a little karate fight, subdues him. In the back of the police car, the guy kicks the windows out, runs out. They shoot him. He's dead. Goes to the hospital. Ron Silver, the doctor, he's been messing around with this medicine idea that can bring people back to life. And they decide to start using this guy's corpse to see if they can do it. They make him indestructible. He goes out, he can't die. He's the serial killer, he can't die. Goes back out. This guy, now he's going out, he's killing people. They don't know who's doing it. And Chuck Norris gets him in there.
Will you direct it?
I just want to be a consultant.
I do want to point out that is also the story of a movie called Frankenstein. So you may want to that may be taken.
That's fair.
Yes, that is fair.
That's
may
fair.
Be taken.
But I did like when I was writing for ESPN, I think like 2001, Ali came out.
Right.
And I did the junket. And I talked to everybody for 10 minutes, and Ron Silver played like Angela Dundee.
You asked about Silent Ridge.
We sit down, and Ron Silver's like doing this junket. He's like in a coma. And I'm like, Silent Rage. And he's like, the guy who wouldn't die. He got so excited. I had him for 10 solid minutes. What else do we want to talk about?
I have several things to discuss.
Yeah, okay.
First of all, we haven't talked about The Gift, which is one of our favorite movies.
We were just talking
about it. Very well.
Oh, good.
I mean,
I think it was my kind of movie.
Let me rephrase that. It did. We didn't do very well off it, and the filmmaker didn't do very well off it, which irks me to this day. But that was it was more an issue of the international didn't do particularly well, and the P&A was pretty high on the movie. But overall, it was certainly looked at as a success. But for me, much more importantly, critically, I just loved the movie. I thought Joel did such a terrific job.
It was good.
You gave Joel Edgerton a shot to make a movie. He'd never made a movie before.
Yeah, we did.
Why?
I'm a big believer. I really don't like working with first-time directors, but my definition of first-time directors is like 23-year-old had a short in Sundance. Yeah, but I think actors, I really believe in actor directors. That's what Jordan Peele, I mean, he was a writer, director, he was a showrunner. The best people to direct our movies are showrunners. I'm always going after TV showrunners to direct our movies, but they make so much money doing show running. They rarely want to take 5 months off to make a movie. But the best fit for our company are TV showrunners. But I think actors who spent a long time on sets, I really believe in. I'm always trying to get actors to direct movies. Vincent D'Onofrio is directing Ethan now in a movie. I talked to Ethan yesterday, and he was saying, you know, it's just, even though it's not, basically he's a first time director. He did one little tiny movie, but it's like, it's just, they know what they want, and the other actors feel so many directors don't talk to actors. They're frightened. They're scared of them or intimidated by it. It's amazing the number of directors who don't focus on actors, which to me is the most important part of the movies is acting. So I really believe in working with directors and working with actors, converting them to directing. And
then you started branching out, trying to do the model that you kind of grew up working in, which was Dimension and Miramax. And Dimension was the horror side, and Miramax was like the indie side. And then you're like, why can't this all be one thing? And you do Whiplash, which I thought was fantastic.
One of my favorite movies of the decade.
Yeah, I love that movie. I love stumbled into this director who
was
like kind of a prodigy.
Yeah.
So what'd you see in him?
Well, you mean, I'll tell you the Whiplash story. So the Whiplash story is kind of a good story. The Whiplash story was, the guy who runs production for us, a guy named Cooper Samuelson, who's a terrific executive. And right towards the beginning, he's been with us for 4 or 5 years now, maybe 6 years. And right in the beginning, he brought me the script of Whiplash, which I read, and I thought it was a good script. I didn't think it was the most amazing thing in the world. I thought it was fine. I said, we don't make these. This is a fun script. It's not for us.
Yeah.
And Cooper is a very smart guy, very, very bright guy. And one of my favorite filmmakers is Jason Reitman. And Cooper knew someone who worked for Jason Reitman. Cooper gave the script to that person, and Cooper knew Damien because they had gone to college together, and Damien had done, Cooper found Damien 100%. And anyway, he got Jason Reitman to agree to produce the movie. And he came back in my office a month later, 2 months later. He said, what if Jason Reitman was producing? I said, we're in. Just because I'm a Jason Reitman fan. I said, I want to work with Jason Reitman. I want to meet Jason Reitman. I want to work with Jason Reitman. And that was the beginning of Whiplash, which is pretty cool.
So I'm friends with Jason.
Very good.
And he's one of the 6 people I can have a kicking and screaming conversation with.
You mean because no one else has seen it?
No, because you have to be of a certain, you have to be there's like a 2-year age range where that movie hits you differently than if you're any other age range.
Right.
He's in
which
the
is
age range.
Our age range. Yeah.
It's that Generation X.
Right.
I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with my life. There's no job market. And I wish I was still in college, but I'm not.
Do you know what the original title of the movie was?
What?
For your kicking and screaming trivia? It was called Fifth Year. And it was about exactly what you just said, which is about, we all went to Vassar together, Noah and Jeremy Kramer and I, and we produced the movie, and Noah directed the movie. We were roommates in college, and we had this, I think, unusual college experience. When we were at college, we were very cognizant of the fact that it wasn't going to get as good as it was in college for a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They gave you cameras, you made movies. We were making movies every day, and free this, and they had free food, everything. Your whole life is taken care of. And I think it took 20 years for me anyway to get to a place where I felt as good as I did in college. And we all were very aware of that. And we all used to make endless jokes about trying not to graduate to stay for a 5th year. And so the movie was called Fifth Year, about exactly what you just said.
So which character were you?
I was a character in the movie. I'm not even going to remember. Skippy.
You were Skippy?
Wow. I was Skippy. I was Skippy. Who played Skippy?
The dude Colin from 90210.
Carlos.
Jason Wiles.
Jason Wiles.
I was Skippy.
Wow. So you had like a love-hate relationship with your girlfriend?
Yes, I had. Yes, I did. I did actually. And,
did she hook up with one of your friends?
And she did that too. She did that too.
That movie came out. I saw it by myself in Cambridge. No, not in Cambridge. In where the BU Theater, whatever, the Nickelodeon.
Yeah, right.
And like at that specific point in my life, I was Grover.
Amazing.
And right down to the point where he's calling his dad, talking about the Knicks. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Are there cameras in my apartment?
Every
And,
3 weeks or
it
so,
just
I
hit
get
me.
a kicking and screaming email from Bill.
No.
It's just like, remember that scene in Kicking and Screaming?
That's
It's
amazing.
Well,
Tim's brain.
there's only a couple. Like Klosterman likes it. Michael Weinreb. There's a
Very
small
generational.
group of just
Very
like that's like
generational.
our
Well,
movie.
was that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to hear a good kicking and screaming story? So I was my first job. I was roommates with Noah in Chicago. We moved from Poughkeepsie to New York. We moved to Chicago. We lived in this 1-bedroom apartment, and Noah was writing Kicking and Screaming, and I sold cable TV. I did commission only cable TV, like door-to-door salesman. And then after a year in Chicago, we moved to New York, and I was a real estate agent. I got my real estate license. I was a real estate agent in New York. We sent the script out to everyone. We had a list. It was before computer, before email. We had a list on the thing of the wall. We sent 300 copies of the script out. And every day we'd spend 3 hours. How do we do? And years went by. Finally, my father, who's retired now, but he was an art dealer, and my father did this super nice thing, and he's still very good friends with Steve Martin, and Steve Martin and him talked about art. I didn't know Steve Martin, but he gave Steve Martin the script of Kicking and Screaming, which was amazing when it come to, when I think about it now. And, even more amazing, Steve Martin read the script. It was by a child. It was by an NYU. I mean, not NYU Vassar. It was by it was like by a kid. I mean, imagine how many scripts he gets. And anyway, he read it and he loved it. And he wrote a letter on his stationery, which I still have to this day, and I have 900 copies of it, which I'll explain why. and he called, or got him on the phone somehow. My hand was shaking like this, I remember, and I said, would you think about being in the movie? Which was a joke, It's like, no, I'm not going to be in the movie. I'm not going to be in your student film, which is essentially what it was. I said, could we show your letter to other people? He said, show the letter to anyone you want. He said, I thought the script was great. I wish you guys the best of luck.
You could have played Elliot Gould's character.
I know. But at that time, even when that happened, it was so the movie was so not in any shape or form, right? We ripped off the cover page of the script. I put Steve Martin's letter, which was this effusive letter about Kicking and Screaming, back on the script. We sent it back out to the 300 people. The movie got made 6 months later.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that cool? It was really cool.
I thought Josh Hamilton, I would have bought a ton of stock. I mean, it's not like his career went badly, but it seemed like he had a chance to be like somebody big,
super famous. But I don't think he necessarily.
It doesn't seem like he wanted it.
I was going to say, I don't think that's his end goal. He's an amazing,
still a huge theater actor. Right?
Yeah, that's why he went into theater.
He's an amazing theater actor, and watching Josh on stage is just incredible. And I'm really glad, to tell you the truth, that he did choose that, because he's so good on stage. He's like, Liev is like that. Just like there's certain people, not to say that Liev is not a great, but like when you watch him on stage, you're just like, oh. And there's certain stage actors, who did become famous and do a big TV series or whatever. And I think it's kind of sad. Sean's
generation's younger than us. Our generation, some of the movies, especially the ones that resonated, like that one, and like before Sunset. Which was the first one? Sunset or Sunrise?
Before Sunrise.
Sunrise. Reality Bites. They're all about.
Yeah.
It was like this old school era that kind of started with Say Anything. Hold the ghetto blaster outside of the radio. But it was it was so hard to communicate with people. We didn't have cell phones back then. It was like if you love somebody and they weren't near you, you had to figure out how to stay in touch with them.
You had to write a poem.
Yeah, and kicking and screaming. Like the girl moves away. She leaves a message on his machine, and he won't listen to the whole thing for like 2 months. And has no idea what happened to her. And she sent a postcard. Now they would just be texting.
Of course, the movie couldn't.
But that was that era. It was like I may never see this person again. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I became friends with Ethan right around that time because, and one of the reasons we really wanted him to be in the movie, of course, and
he would have been a good Rover.
He would have been great. Yeah. And that's when I started when I moved to New York and I was a real estate agent during the day and produced Kicking and Screaming during the day. And at night I was producing this theater company called Malapart. And Ethan Hawke was the was the artistic director, and it was right at the Reality Bites time. So he was not that he's, he was super, super famous to a very specific generation, just like you're talking about. And Ethan and I would go on 42nd Street to TKTS, where they're lined for the people in line, the tourists in line to buy tickets, and they would recognize it. They'd go, "Oh my God, that's Ethan Hawke!" And I was behind him with the flyer for our show, and I'd say, "Yeah, it is, and you can see him tonight in a play for $10." And we did theater for $10, and we did it for years. And it was it was Ethan, it was Frank Whaley, Robert Sean Leonard, Josh Hamilton, Isabel Gillies, Callista Flockhart. It was this Steve Zahn, this amazing group of actors.
Robert Sean Leonard, another guy who had a lot of stock. These guys
had great careers. Let's not run these guys down.
I just, after Dead Poets.
Well, Robert Sean Leonard did House forever.
Yeah.
He married I introduced him to my cousin. He's married to my cousin. And we've been friends for 25 years now. He is and I'm so glad he's done with House and now he's starting to do theater again, but he's another,
I'm just glad he's lived after Dead Poets Society. I thought he died.
Neil! This is my son! This is my relative, for God's sake.
My son! It's such a devastating movie. We didn't talk about Miramax. I think we have to at least.
Miramax?
Yeah, I think we have to at least mention Harvey.
Right.
I mean, this is like pretty newsworthy at this point.
Yeah,
I would feel like a coward if I didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
He worked for him for 5 years.
I know, I did.
Famously temperamental character.
Yeah, he was
controversial. What's the most misunderstood thing about him?
Oh my God, he's been so dissected and examined. I think there's very little left that's misunderstood. I mean, I think he's been under a microscope for so long. I think what's happened is really sad. I think it's excellent that women are coming forward, and I think that they have to come forward, and they have to come forward more. We're doing a series about Roger Ailes, and we're doing a 10-part series on Roger Ailes, and the Bill O'Reilly. I mean, I think there's nothing good about it, except that I think it's good that women are coming forward, and I think it's very alarming what happened.
How much did you see that when you were there?
I didn't see. I didn't. No, I can talk about it. I didn't see any of it. I heard rumors about. I was a 27-year-old white guy. I was not in the inner circle. I was a very young executive there, so I heard rumors about it, and I heard rumors about everything else, but I didn't experience any of it firsthand.
There's one other person that is notable for Bill that you have worked with closely, which is M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, yeah.
Who you're having a lot of success with now.
Yeah, we're on our third movie together.
There's been an M. Night revival.
Night revival.
It's just Shyamalan-a-sance.
Shyamalan-a-sance. We went to his, my wife and I were on the East Coast for part of the summer, and we went to his house and had lunch with him. He's got this amazing, amazing estate in Pennsylvania.
Sixth Sense money?
Sixth Sense money.
Or maybe the second one, Unbreakable Money.
I don't know.
One of them,
I don't know, but he's just a terrific, spectacular filmmaker, and he loves movies. His house is almost kind of a shrine to storytelling, and it's I love working with him. He's so enthusiastic. He's so, it's amazing how many writers and directors you work with who are, not that driven. And if you got to be in this business, as you know, and we know, you have to love it, and it has to be in your bones. And I'm surprised the amount of people I come across who it doesn't like that. And Night, boy, he just thinks about it and thinks about every aspect of everything he's doing. That's inspiring to be around.
One more quick break to talk about Gillette. Did you know the tip of a Gillette razor blade is measured on an atomic scale? That means their blade edges are thinner than a single brain cell. That precision is the work of many, many brain cells. Hundreds of members of Gillette's research and development team have spent over 4,700 years combined working to make your shave closer, more comfortable. That's longer than the Egyptian pyramids have been around. And while over 1,000 craftsmen and women in Boston are busy making your blades, another team is putting your blades through more than 60 extremely strict and precise quality checks. Fail just one of the tests, it doesn't leave the factory. In other words, the hardworking people at Gillette never stop working to make your blades better. Now that includes the price tag. Get Gillette blades at their lowest prices in years. See for yourself at GilletteOnDemand.com. Gillette, the best a man can get. Also, great shaving cream by Gillette. Hey, pricing applies to select products and is at the sole discretion of the retailer. And since we're here next week, NBA Palooza preview on The Ringer, Monday and Tuesday. We have so much stuff going up on all of our platforms. Go to the landing page on theringer.com as soon as it goes up. Podcast, videos, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. It's all happening Monday and Tuesday. We're going to cover the NBA with the love and respect that it deserves. All right, back to Jason Blum. I'm going to go through all the things on your IMDb that are in production.
Okay.
And I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess in one sentence. Yeah.
And then can I talk about Chris Landon a little bit, because I haven't gotten to talk about him, and it's one of my favorite topics.
Want to do that now?
He did Happy Death Day. As I think about what we talked about, one of the things that I like best about my job is that I get to work with these super, super talented, creative people. And most of them we talked about, but we haven't talked about Chris Landon. So Chris Landon and I did 4 Paranormal Activity movies together. He wrote 3 of them. He directed the 4th one.
I saw the first one in the theater. I was like, this is just smart.
Yeah.
That couldn't have cost more than like $10.
$10,000. $15,000.
$15,000.
$15,000.
Smart.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Anyway,
so Chris Landon, we did all these movies together, and he is one of the real authors of the success of the paranormal sequels. And I've always wanted to do something else with him. And he's really a great writer director. I also think he's undervalued because he's working on sequels. So he doesn't, usually the person who gets credit for the franchise is the person who started it, which was Oren. Chris got, the people who help with the sequels get overshadowed a bit. So all I just wanted to say was that it was great to finally get to do this with him. And he rewrote, but essentially wrote and directed the movie. And I'm, looking forward to working on a lot more with him. And you have to see it tonight with your kids.
It's happening. Okay, I want you guys to know something. Good. If I moved into a house and something weird happened, like within the first week, like the dining room table just tipped over, but nobody was in the house, I'm fucking out.
You just said you wanted to buy the Amityville Horror House.
No, I didn't say I wanted to buy it. I said I was fascinated by the thought of buying it. I wouldn't have actually bought it. I was like, wow, this is available. Who's buying this thing?
I would have bought it. Now, what you just said is the single most difficult storytelling issue we deal with on every single movie. That's why Get Out was kind of so great.
It's like the old Eddie Murphy joke from 35 years ago.
Was a joke on on watching a haunted house movie, and you're in the audience, you're like, get out. That's what it's about, because it's like, what are you staying in the house, you idiot? Get out. Now, James on Insidious did this great thing in the first Insidious where they leave. Remember?
Yes.
They're in a house. The stuff happens just like you said. And then Patrick and Rose are like, we need to leave. And the brilliant thing about the first Insidious movie is the end of the first act, they move to a new house. And then that's why the tagline of the movie, it's the house. Your son is haunted, not the house, or whatever the thing is, which is the ghost moves with them, which is great. But the biggest trick of making scary movies is how to keep people in a haunted house, just what you said. Super hard to do.
Did you fire like 8 people after it became a massive success?
I fired everyone.
Just start over. Just get a new team.
I was going to talk about that, but then I stopped myself. But now that you've opened it up, I will talk about it, because what I was going to say was that it just killed. The only record we have left, basically, it just killed all of our records. The only one we have left is the most profitable movie as it relates from budget, 15,000 to gross. So percentage of budget, but everything else, now, and I will say, in my defense,
my kids loved it.
I loved it too. I loved it. It's
really good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's a big budget movie. So the reason that everyone thinks it's a
peed on a little bit. I like it.
No, I'm not peeing on it.
Put your boxing gloves on.
No,
I'm
not peeing on it. I'm just suggesting it's a different game.
Lower degree of difficulty. They had more money.
Yes, definitely lower degree of difficulty. Yeah. But the reason, if it was a $5 million movie, I think I would have just jumped off my building, and that would have been the end of me and it.
Stephen King got paid for that?
Did he get paid for it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Don't worry.
Sure. I'm worried about him. I don't know if he has enough money.
I think he was fine before it.
If you thought, you're right. If you thought of it, you got paid at that studio or anything to do. Anyone who had anything to touch it, anything. Yeah.
Does that make you more competitive though when you see a movie like that breaking some of your records?
Oh, of course. But the thing. when Get Out was going up, I was looking at The Exorcist was the highest grossing movie of all time. And I remember I looked at that number when Get Out, I was like, could we do it? And I was thinking, boy, that just can never happen. It was 1972. It can never happen. And then when it broke, even though it's not whatever, it did break it in different dollars, but whatever. So yeah, totally. It made me.
Did you feel like the secret of Get Out was kept secret enough? Because I mean, you think about
did you? We had this great thing in the trailer.
I thought it was. I didn't.
Yeah, we had this great.
Because I was
moment.
worried the internet's gonna fuck things up. But I remember Blair Witch 20 years ago. I was in the theater and Blair Witch. It finished. I didn't know if it happened or not. Like they, because in that era you could really keep the secret the whole time.
Yeah.
Get Out. I like.
We had this great moment in the run up to the movie where we had the moment of the keys, her dangling the keys that was in the trailer. And I thought it should have been in the trailer, and the studio thought it should have been in the trailer. My great marketing partners, Josh and Michael, we were all three on the same page. And Jordan said, it can't be in the trailer.
Gives it away.
And between Michael, Josh, and I, we've done 300 movies. Jordan has done one. So it's a really tough position to be in. And we said, we tested them together and da-da-da. It was about a month of conversations. And finally, Jordan came in and said, you just can't do it. And Jordan's an incredible talent for a lot of reasons, but that right there is a great example of it. We didn't do it, obviously. It was a totally stupid thing to have done. I was wrong. Josh and the three of us were wrong and Jordan was right. But to do one movie and get your way and not piss the three of us off because he really thought about it and worked on it. And he just said, I can't live with this. I just can't live with this. And there are a lot of studios that would have said, we don't care. And another great thing about a low budget movie is it's harder for a studio to say that when they're looking at a director who hasn't been paid for the work that he's done. He only gets paid if the movie makes money. And he says, I can't live with this. You almost kind of morally have to listen to him. I feel that way, and Universal felt that way, and we did, and he was right. And it's a real, it's a tribute to him.
Trust creative people.
That's
one
right.
of my mottos.
That's
Very
right.
true.
Sean Fantasy.
Trust creative
He knows.
people.
I'm not one of them though. So how do you get Jordan an Oscar now? What has to happen?
For Get Out?
Yeah, oh boy.
Oh, this is another one of my passion points. Horrors and horror movies and comedies.
Can you help me with this?
How the fuck was there something about Mary not nominated for an Oscar?
I don't know.
Like seriously, this is the best comedy of that
That's
whole
your
decade.
outrage pick? That's a unique choice.
But if you make
I think that's generational.
If you make an awesome,
I think that's generational.
Awesome,
because I think it's
revolutionary comedy.
It should be in.
That should be one of the 5 movies.
Yeah.
If you like, Get Out should be. How many do we have? 8 to 10 choices.
Yeah.
Well, Get Out. I mean, different from a comedy.
No, it's a thriller.
But it's about race. I mean, it's very timely, and so I think the idea that you shouldn't get penalized because a lot of people have seen your movie, and hopefully it'll be recognized. But certainly I want it to be, and certainly I'm trying to get it recognized for sure.
I think 10 years ago it probably gets snubbed and everybody gets mad, but now the internet, I think a lot of these people read the pieces, and it seems for the most part the right things seem
My
to
gut
happen.
tells me there's a screenplay nomination coming.
I hope so. The key is that you just, it's very hard. So many people say, I hate horror movies and I never watch them, but I love Get Out. But there are a lot of people in the Academy who just say, I hate horror movies and haven't seen it. The key is just getting those people to see it, because it's really more of a thriller than a horror movie. And once they see it, they're totally into it. But there is a line you've got to get people over of being open to seeing. That's why I always say it's more like a Hitchcock movie, because that's something that people feel more easily to see.
I think that's should be part of the campaign, that it's a thriller, not a horror movie, because it's not a horror movie. Well, I think horror movie, I think of like, somebody with an axe killing a bunch of sorority sisters. Yeah,
me too.
It's a thriller.
You can't. It's hard to open a thriller, but I think now it's being talked about as a thriller for sure.
Fatal Attraction's another one.
We're working. We have not a remake of Fatal Attraction, but I love Fatal Attraction. We have about 3 different things we're developing that I'm trying to kind of touch that nerve again. They're not, they're tributes to Fatal Attraction that I'm working on.
This is Wesley Morris and I. This is one of our favorite bits, the From Hell genre.
Right.
Fatal Attraction launched the From Hell, the nanny from hell, the ex-wife from hell, and just like everybody's from hell. Yes. Pacific Heights, the tenant from hell.
Yeah, totally.
It always works.
Totally.
Now that there's been a rejuvenation of it, The Last Cut. They made the Ali Larder, Idris Elba, the assistant from hell. And,
Yeah, right.
There's another one where somebody's the ex-husband from hell. And
what is that?
What is that? That might also be Idris Elba.
I like the Surrogate from Hell. You know, the woman
Surrogate
who's
from
carrying
Hell.
the
That's
baby.
Surrogate.
Yeah.
Well,
Lifetime.
we've done a few of those actually.
Hand That Rocks the Cradle to me is like the perfect type of this kind of movie. The nanny, they don't realize that her husband killed herself because of the mom who is the patient, and now she starts working for them, and she's secretly breastfeeding the baby. And
totally.
That reaction. Oh no! Oh, the baby won't eat with the real mom anymore. What's going on? The dim-witted gardener knows something's wrong. He's the only one. It's like everything. It's got all the elements of. Hey, I want to go through quickly these movies.
I'm ready. What do you want me?
I'm just going after Happy Death Day.
How do you want me to comment exactly? It's true.
No,
it's not
I'm just
true.
Gonna
they
try
are
to guess.
happening.
Sweetheart. Is that
Sweetheart
a dead?
That's in
dead girlfriend that comes back to haunt the guy who moves on with his life.
No, you're gonna try and guess.
Wait, you're gonna guess the
I'm trying to guess. I'm trying to guess from the title.
I love it. No, that's not right. No. Not even close on that. But I appreciate the try.
Stem cell scientist who starts experimenting at night and creates a serial killer. No,
but STEM is awesome. STEM is Lee Wanell, who wrote all the Insidious movies and directed the
so what's
third
STEM?
one.
Give us one sentence of STEM.
STEM is an AI action movie. It's awesome.
Okay. What's the one sentence for Sweetheart?
Sweetheart is not pregnant, but you should always believe the woman if she's seeing something evil.
Oh, I like it.
That's not the one-liner. That's whatever. Okay.
Ghoul. That's. I mean, you could say that somebody moved into the wrong house.
That movie
could be a cemetery in the backyard.
We did that. So I had this brilliant idea. I'm like, we're gonna make all our movies in Hindi get pirated. So I'm like, hey, let's make it. If you can't beat him, join him. Let's make a movie in Hindi, and let's say from the makers of The Gift and The Visit and Get Out and this one and that one comes Ghoul. I don't know how to say that in Hindi, but it's in Hindi. And so we've been working on this for 3 weeks. We finally made one of these movies in India. It's actually quite it's an interesting movie, but it's in Hindi. It's only going to be seen in India. And it was a little bit of a folly because I thought it was going to be, I thought I was going to make money off it, which I don't think we're going to do. We're not going to lose, but it was kind of, that's Jason's folly, but it's an interesting movie.
If you get Bill a link though, he and his son will watch it.
That's great.
I know.
I'll say, will you watch Ghoul Before the Forest?
No. I don't know. It's a toss-up. Insidious, The Last Key.
That's great. That's done. It comes out in January. That's our next movie after our Happy Death Day. You don't have to guess that.
The Purge, The Island. It's just great.
The Purge, The Island.
That's what's on your IMDb.
That's fake news.
Fake news. Okay.
Yeah.
Halloween's not fake news.
Right.
This next one, I'm all the way in. Truth or Dare. I'm in. What a great title.
Truth or Dare.
You don't even need to give me the one sentence.
Truth or Dare, yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah. Finished?
Stockholm sounds like somebody in the basement who starts identifying with their captor.
Someone in a bank robbery, but yes, it comes from Stockholm is about the event that caused that named Stockholm Syndrome. It was in Stockholm, and it was a bank robber who took. It's Ethan's in the movie. It was in a bank robber who took hostages, and exactly what you said.
That's a great idea.
It's cool.
Glass.
That's M. Night's movie.
Somebody in a bubble who can't get out of.
No, it's the
you
sequel.
can do better than that.
The sequel to Split. Mr. Glass.
Unbreakable.
Why didn't you call that Split 2?
No, Unbreakable. It's the sequel to Unbreakable.
It's the sequel to Unbreakable. The one from 20 years ago?
Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis.
Sam Jackson. How'd you get him?
Yeah, Sam Jackson. He missed my whole story. I went to Philadelphia 2 weeks ago.
I didn't know. I heard
Bruce
that part.
Willis, Sam Jackson, Sarah.
I didn't know it was called Glass.
Yeah, it's called Glass. Yeah. Okay.
Spawn.
I'm going to do the story again. Spawn. Yes, haven't shot that yet. We're making that.
That's Spawn, the comic series.
The comic series. Yeah, Todd McFarlane, who's a great wily character. I love him.
Spooky Jack could go in 100 different directions.
That's DreamWorks Animation. That's a kids fun movie, scary movie. That's an animated movie.
I'm going to give you 2 that I think can come back. 2 genres.
Hit me. You done with IMDb?
Yeah.
Finished?
That's all you had.
Really? Okay, good. Okay.
You have 500 other movies in development.
I don't know, he's reading the wrong list.
The Kid Who Might Be Evil. I'm obsessed with The Good Son. I think The Good Son was one of the great lost 90s movies. Macaulay Culkin.
The kid who might be evil, but we've seen that a lot.
I know,
even
but
recently
we've seen it
not
badly.
You want a good executed, the kid who might be
evil. Good Son
evil.
is a good movie.
Right.
See, she's nodding over there. Good Son's good. It's like there's something wrong with this kid. The parents don't see it.
Right. Okay.
But this other person, I'm a huge fan of that.
Okay. I'm gonna work on that.
Cujo. I think we're ready for Cujo again.
You do. I'm not sure. Cujo?
The rabid dog?
I'm not sure. I know what it is.
Dog?
I saw it. It's Cujo.
I'm ready for another rabid dog movie. People love dogs. You can do this whole like meta thing about making fun of all the PETA people.
It has to be CG. You can't use real dogs anymore. It has to be CG. I hate doing
true?
CGI.
It's actually a great response because it's King Mania now. So you think that there would be a Cujo
movie. You can't
movie,
use real dogs anymore. You can't use real dogs in movies.
Freaking PETA.
The ASPCA on you.
Cujo 2 should have happened.
Yeah, you can't do it. So they got to be CGI. And I hate CGI.
I do, especially for horror.
Disaster.
What
Especially
about
for anything? It's like watching 3D. Can't stand 3D. I'm always taking off the glasses in a 3D movie so I could actually see what's happening because it's so dark.
But 3D's over now.
Thank God.
Never made sense.
It never made sense.
No, I never understood the revolution for it, and especially like the idea that I was supposed to put on 3D glasses in my house when then I couldn't.
No, I'm talking about in the theater.
No, I know, but just that and in the theater too. The whole thing.
Money grab.
What would
3D.
They gave me a headache too. The
Me
glasses.
too.
A lot
I
of people
couldn't watch the movie.
From.
It was so dark. It's like, oh, Liam Neeson, where are you? I couldn't see. I literally would take them off in between the scenes. When it's not action, it looks like 2D without the glasses. And then when the action comes, you throw them on. Yeah.
I just never understood it.
Me neither.
They were like shoving it down our throats for 4 years.
We're too old, maybe. I don't know.
My kids didn't like it either.
I don't like them either. What would it take for you to make $100 million movie? Could you ever see yourself doing it?
You know, I think about that a lot, and I think I would be very. I think like, I know the reason why you're so good at this is because you forget, you answer the real answer, not the PR answer. That's what all your guests do, and that's what I'm going to do now. My rote line for that: I would never make $100 million movie. But the true answer, I suppose, is there are circumstances I would do it. I guess I'd have to be with a filmmaker who I really felt connected to. I'd never do it with a filmmaker I hadn't worked with before, ever. I have weird money issues. I mean, there's a reason, and I make cheap movies. There's more complicated. I have crazy money issues, and it bothers me to lose money, even if it's for somebody else. It makes no difference.
Competitive money issues.
Competitive for sure, but also I don't like losing money for anyone. I don't like losing money if it's our money on the line or someone else's money on the line. So I want to be I don't want to go to bed at night biting my nails, and so I'd have to be with the director, and we'd have to be really connected and have to have worked together before.
Has any filmmaker tried to get you to do it?
Never. No.
That's a smart rich person thing, because like I was talking once to somebody, it was like 5 years ago when the NBA hit that when they're about to have the lockout.
Yeah, right.
And teams were we were like 19 of us are losing money, and then you actually dig through the figures and it was like, well, that team lost like $725,000. It's not like they're they own an asset
hurting.
that's appreciating.
Yeah.
And the person who was very smart explained to me, it's like, that's not the point. It's not that it's $725. It's that it's $1. They don't like losing money
at
all.
Like
never in the red.
It bothers them.
Right.
They look at it and they go,
right,
that's red, that's not black. I can't handle that.
It does bother me, but I don't think that's, I'm not proud of that.
I think it's a good way to think, though.
It's good for business. I'm just not proud of it.
But what makes $100 million movie? Because at this point, it's like either you're paying premium prices for stars or you're paying for special effects and for things to blow up. Like, why would you have to make $100 million movie?
Oh, you have to make Star Wars and Pixar movies.
Well, that's what I mean.
And Marvel movies. They have.
But you don't
want to
do stuff like that.
Well, that was the question. I don't want to do any of those. No. But if there was an original movie that was with a filmmaker I really trusted and had a great business relationship and had worked with before,
I heard that.
And they had an original idea that merited that number. It takes place in space or whatever. That I could potentially.
I guess what I'm saying is there $100 million movie that isn't one of those special effects movies?
Well, probably not. But, we talked about the Andrew Niccol idea, which is one of those things. It's like it's a creative idea that captures your imagination and you just want to see it on screen. And, great producers, they get dreams and they want to put films on screen. If Andrew Niccol
asked me to make City That Sails, I would do it in a heartbeat. I mean, not that it's not. that makes it sound like if he asked me, I could get it done. I couldn't. No one's going to finance the movie. It's not commercial.
Right.
But if in a dream world, if someone was, I would do that in a second. So I guess the right answer is if it was a story that I loved, of course I would love to produce a $100 million movie. That's the answer.
Got it.
You helped me get to that answer.
So like,
you're like my therapist right now. Thank you.
I'm doing my best.
Thank you. Thank you.
I could use one too.
Thank you.
Die Hard, if they did it correctly and the original Die Hard never happened, is a $100 million movie that's not like a special effects.
Yes.
You need to get like Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
You have to get some good side people.
Yeah.
You'd have to get the skyscraper.
Yeah, I love Die Hard, but again, I'm not.
No, you wouldn't do it now.
2 years of my life, I'm not doing that.
No, but I'm saying that's like $100 million type of movie that wouldn't be Star Wars 9.
The most expensive movie, not we've ever done, but the most expensive movie we're doing now is a total art film. It's one of the films you missed on your list, but it's a movie called Stoner. It's a book that I've.
That was not my list.
My bad.
It was just
IMDb.
the internet.
It was
the internet failing us yet again.
Amazon letting us down.
I'm interested in Stoner. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so I optioned this book almost 10 years ago. It's totally an impossible book to turn into a movie. I actually did this thing for the PGA Awards about 3 years ago, and Ryan Murphy was interviewing me and said, "Is there one passion project you have always tried to get made and it never has?" And I said Stoner. It's in the video of it, and I've been working on it for forever. And it finally came together. This incredible writer named Andrew Bavell adapted it in a way that everyone, including me, thought was impossible. Like I read it, I kept spending a little bit of money on it every year, but I just loved the story. I didn't think the story, had a lot of doubts if the story could ever be a movie, but I loved the story. And this writer turned this book into a great screenplay, and Joe Wright is directing it, and Casey Affleck is starring in it, and it's 6 times the budget of our commercial, of our genre. I was making a kind of joke to one of my partners that I'm willing to spend money on pure. You know what? I'm not going to say it, but anyway, it's very expensive, and it's a total art house movie.
I'd like to apologize. I missed the whole section on your IMDb. That was underneath.
Well, I was sitting here. I was fidgeting and fumbling.
I went too high.
Oh my God. Half of my children he killed over here.
No. I missed Unfriended Game Night, which I don't need to guess. That sounds fantastic. I'm in. Tremors. Remake of Tremors.
Unfriended Game Night. Great, you're in. Remake of Tremors is a television series.
Okay.
Did you see the original movie? Do you remember? Okay. Can I just pitch you the first scene of our TV show?
Yeah.
You remember Kevin in the movie? He's 25 years old. He walks out and takes a leak. Do you remember that? He pisses. Original movie. It's still Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon now, our age. He goes out of the car. He steps up to the fence to take a leak. Exact same shot. No piss comes out. He can't pee because he's 50. I mean, come on. Don't you love that? He's not sold.
Did we get him?
He's not sold. Yeah, Kevin's in the show. Yeah.
Okay, good. Stoner, we talked about. Seven in Heaven. Is that a horror movie?
What are you talking? Are you kidding me? Truth or Dare, the sequel to Truth or Dare, 7 in Heaven. I got a whole. We're
going to sequel for Truth or Dare.
Of course,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, of course.
I love that.
It's a whole universe.
Only
Teenage
you?
Game universe.
Is Only You the Fatal Attraction?
Only You? No.
Okay.
Oh no, not the Fatal Attraction. No, but we just finished that one. Yeah.
What's that one? You don't want to tell me.
That's top secret.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
You know what that is,
movie.
right?
Krueger?
No, but you know what? Oh, see, wrong generation. Five Nights at Freddy's, massive kids game, and it's one of our biggest movies. It's a guy named Scott Cawthorne. He lives in Texas, and he came up with five. There's there's an aisle at Walmart that is Five Nights at Freddy's merchandise. It's huge.
How did my son miss this?
I don't know. He has to know what it is. He has to know what it is.
You're too busy showing him Halloween over and over again.
Adult movies.
Yeah.
Devil's Night. I mean, I'm in. Black Klansman. What's that one?
Black Klansman, Spike Lee. We're producing it with Jordan Peele, and we start shooting in like 3 weeks. Very exciting.
The Bev Kearney story.
That I've had on that IMDb for 12 years. Okay. We're not making that.
Okay,
that is not happening. But it's a great story.
That's it. The Keeping Hours?
That's finished. Yeah, that's a finished movie. What list is this you're looking at? This
IMDb is all over the place.
I mean, this is so random.
Amityville: The Awakening. There it is.
So random. Where's Roger Ailes? I don't
see that one.
Yeah, I mean, very strange.
All All right, Sean, we kept this man enough.
This was incredible. Jason, congratulations on making every great movie that Bill loves.
I want to get invited to one Halloween.
How about our Halloween party? You know, we don't have a, oh, you're the movie. How about our Halloween party? We don't have a Christmas party at Blumhouse. We have a Halloween party.
You have a Halloween party?
Super fun.
I want to be invited.
All right, we'll invite all
party.
you guys. I
Our
expect to
staff
see all you guys.
That'd be great. We would love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was great.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks to Gillette. Did you know a Gillette razor blade edge is thinner than a single brain cell? It's a product of many brain cells at work. From the thousands of men and women at Gillette, they're always working harder to make your shave better. And now you can get Gillette blades for less at GilletteOnDemand.com. Gillette, the best a man can get. Pricing applies to select products, and it's at the sole discretion of the retailer. Don't forget about Let's Play 2, the new documentary film about Pearl Jam's incredible performances at Wrigley during the historic 2016 Cubs run. Don't forget about SeatGeek. Promo code BSNFL, $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase for NFL tickets. Don't forget about White Famous. I'm assuming you have a sense of humor if you listen to this podcast. I'm going to recommend the pilot of White Famous. It's a good one. And that's it. We might have 2 more podcasts this week. We have at least one. Who knows? A lot of guests. Tommy Arthur, head of our talent department at The Ringer, has been booking awesome guests like crazy. We have some really good ones coming up. Until then.